Why we should quit the tax system. First, when a government first decides to finance its activity through taxes, it becomes a slave, a prisoner, and an accomplice of a socio-economic model. While this model has granted us with a high standard of living and a history of fantastic advancements, it is based on mistrust and favors the few people that controls the lives of the rest. Getting those high earners to pay more taxes leads us to become ever dependent on them. It does not help us to achieve justice or equality. A model that appears to foster development actually paralyzes us further. It is immoral to excuse ourselves by arguing that a lack of money is the reason for not addressing so urgent issues which are affordable for us, like the eradication of hunger and poorness, curing many illnesses and aches. This is a clear sign of the inefficiency of the model. Nowadays, we can count on numerous technologies, knowledge, and skilled professionals to achieve any goal. However, the number of unemployed people, even amongst those who are very highly skilled, rises further beyond the so-called frictional unemployment. This model, whether applied by democratic governments regardless of them being rightist, leftist, progressive, conservative, dictatorial regimes, communists, socialists, fascist, or monarchies, is destructive and disrespectful. According to the perception of wellness, during the last decades, the model has not left behind any positive balance between its conveniences and inconveniences. Environmental spoliation, social outrage, socio-economic inequality, fundamentalism, racism, terrorism, and the Big Brother society are not threats from the roots that consolidate the market model. A model that idolizes tools, does not care about nature, and does not respect existence. A model that we can and must overcome as soon as possible. Second, tax regulation is complex, not just for those who must look after the application and collection of the money, but also for those who must pay taxes. This leads us to many situations that 2.1 promote corruption, not only from those who misbehave intentionally, but also from those who are punished because of not knowing the laws, who are saturated from governmental requirements, do not agree with the norms, or feel that this is too much burden for them. Moreover, this corruption does not only appear when someone does not adhere laws, but also when the laws are approved under the pressure and manipulation of lobbyists defending private interests of a few influential people. 2.2 Prevent the implementation of great ideas and disrupt the work of devoted social entrepreneurs, not just because they are called to pay taxes while they grant social benefits that could even do not generate any incomes, but mostly because they get discouraged due to the bureaucratic processes and controls required to grant tax exemptions. 2.3 Foster the accumulation of productive structures in the hands of very few people who, thanks to different strategies, reach a level of volume in their activities which allows them to make insignificant the cost of management and control of their taxes. Moreover, some of them get so big that public institutions cannot afford to persecute them. Small entrepreneurs face a barrier of laws that do not support them but favor bigger entities. This fact benefits the dependency of employees and labor conditions under imposed rules. 2.4 Though main tax laws respond to ethical principles, these principles are repeatedly violated. There are many taxes which are duplicated, many which are requested regardless of the real capacity of payment of the taxpayer, and many that do not respond to their original intentions. Laws and regulations of lower range do not match with main laws. They prevail and contradict each other. 2.5. Paying taxes implies the agreement with the approved government's budgets and expenses. It is an imposition, something that does not allow discussion, that prevents the flow of the spirit. Tax insubordination in order to avoid expenses addressed to military, polluting or not renewable energies, banks bailouts, etc., leads to fines and even prison penalties. It requires the loss of significant time and energy from those who, by making calculations and documenting their actions, wish to argue their opposition to those expenses. 2.6. All people working in taxation services do not generate any real wealth, however they get paid. If we could save the high expenses devoted to writing tax laws, controlling and managing taxes, we will reduce the number of resources dedicated to unproductive tasks, which will allow us to increase and concentrate our time to more productive activities. 2.7. Finally, implementing taxes leads to the creation of tax havens, public subventions, and tax benefits, regulated by rules that mostly favor those who earn more money. Moreover, the interpretation of what is licit to do with these rules will always provoke controversy and infighting between the parties. Third, the accumulation of big amounts of public money in the hands of politics removes sovereignty from citizens and grants governing leaders with power and responsibilities which they should not assume. This leads to favor friends and to invest in mega projects that demonstrate to be unnecessary. In order to assure that public funds invested in public works are just and efficient, that the investments respond to a real common demand, it is necessary to be totally transparent and to apply methods that make sure that decisions are taken with the consensus of the citizens. Fourth, with the help of new technologies alongside with good ideas and universal communication networks, it has been proven that it is possible to raise enough financial support from many people in order to make it possible to carry out projects of real social interest. A system of voluntary contributions based in these experiences could lead us in a relatively short time to leave the current tax system behind. This new system would facilitate contributions through barter of services as well as the use of complementary local currencies. Fifth, a society without taxes would be a real exercise of democracy through people's empowerment and responsibility, an opportunity for our society and the possibility to benefit humanity as a whole. It would be a first tangible step, a catalyst for sustainable and regenerative development, and of unity in diversity. Thank you for listening and reading. If you want to contact me, feel free to do it. Otherwise, please just act. See you soon. Cheers.